Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 8 and compare it against the iPhone 7 and see which specific phone you should go ahead and buy in 2023. Now, to be honest, I don't really think either one of these phones should be phones that you should consider buying. If you currently own them, then I would recommend using them for as long as you can. But to buy both these phones, it's kind of an interesting process because one is unsupported and one is probably going to be unsupported sooner than later. So it's kind of a tricky situation, but if you want to pick up some phones, I would recommend buying this year. The links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, you can definitely tell that there are some, similarities. In fact, there are probably way more similarities than there are differences right now. On the iPhone 7, this phone came out in 2016, and it was a pretty good change coming from its predecessor. It brought a lot of changes for sure. In fact, one of the biggest changes that is still talked about sometime is the removal of the headphone jack. So the headphone jack was removed with this iPhone. It's funny because it never found its way back on any other iPhone since then, not even on an iPhone SE version, but totally understandable. The front of this phone, 4.7-inch IPS panel, in this day and age definitely is kind of an outdated panel, but again, it's just how it was back then. It looked pretty decent when it first came out, and still have the home button, which is also a vibration motor. So this is kind of relevant because they're saying the iPhone 15 is going to be bringing somewhat of a similar vibration haptic feedback thing as this button, but it did stem from the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. Now on the iPhone 8, this phone came out a year after in 2017, and it was more or less pretty much, it wasn't like a massive upgrade coming from the iPhone 7, but they did bring a few things here that are kind of important, mostly on the back, but this phone on the front looked pretty much identical. You did have True Tone on this specific phone, which was kind of nice. I don't think we had True Tone on the iPhone 7, and it looks like we didn't. So this phone does bring it, so that's kind of a nicer, it kind of warms the display out a little bit, which was kind of nice. Of course, you had bezel on the top and bottom. Home button still the same thing, but I would probably say between both these, the iPhone 8 probably looks better, but they were basically identically the same in terms of the thinness and thickness between both. I also don't think this was a big difference. You can kind of see basically kind of the same thing, but the iPhone 8 definitely feels more premium, and because of something we'll talk about in a second. But both these are very premium feeling sides. Bottom, as you can tell, lightning ports right there. And on the back, we'll basically have somewhat similar type of stylings, at least the way they look, but the backs are completely different. So we have cameras in the top left corner, which is great, but we have the aluminum back on the iPhone 7. With the iPhone 8, we have this glass back. So the glass back was something that really stood out to me, and that was something I really, really liked. So that is something that when I look at something like the iPhone 8, it is a beautiful thing. It looks better. I know mine's correct, but that is a very cool thing we ended up getting with the iPhone 8. We have wireless charging on the back of the iPhone 8. We have IP certification on both phones. So there is some overlap for sure, and they definitely do look more similar than not. But I will tell you, when I look at both these phones, a phone like the iPhone 8 probably is the better one when it comes down to it, just because of the way it looks and everything kind of going around it. So between that kind of covers it up there. Now, another big thing is with the software. Now, this is the biggest thing between these two phones. The iPhone 7 has been unsupported with software for about a year. It's still getting some security updates here and there, but it's pretty much done. It's not really lasting that much longer, and that is kind of an issue that you're getting here. With something like the iPhone 8, this phone is currently still supported with software, but it's pretty close to being done with. I mean, it could be like getting iOS 17, which I would be really happy with. But if it does or if it doesn't, it's still going to be very close to its end of life. So that's always been something you have to kind of keep in mind. And personally, that's just one thing I kind of have to keep remembering and reminding people is that this phone could end up, lasting not as long as you may hope so. So that covers it up there. Let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 8 has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 2 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 7 has that Apple A10 Fusion chip inside of it with 2 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's a faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, so let's get into it. iPhone 7 is here, iPhone 8 is here. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Music 3, 2, 1. Okay, pop up here. It's a little bit of a different pop up on both, so we'll just kind of let this one go as well. Hopping out of here. Let's do their app stores. 3, 2, 1. I hope there aren't any more pop-ups or anything. And of course I'm wrong. But I actually kind of loaded up pretty fast on both. I think the iPhone 8 would have still been faster there regardless. Scrolling through, let's see if there's a difference. And I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference here. And kind of the same thing, not a big of a difference as you may think. Hopping out of here, let's do something like camera, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that kind of covers up that one. Let's go into photos, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that kind of covers up this one as well. Hopping out of these ones, let's go and try another one. Let's try hopping out of here. I know what's not working here. Let's go and try something like notes, 3, 2, 1. And I think I may have tapped it a little bit faster on the iPhone 8, so we'll kind of let that one go as well. We do have some of these third-party apps. Let's try Genshin Impact, 3, 2, 1. Now this is a pretty big game. We're probably just going to get a load to, the home screen basically. I have played this game on both these, devices, and it's been pretty good. I don't really think there's one that's like substantially 1,000 times better than the other one, but I still feel like the iPhone, 8 is definitely the faster one. And as you can see, it did load into it a little bit faster than the iPhone 7. So that's probably like one thing to keep in mind there too. Let's go and try another, application. We can try something like Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Of course, we have a pop-up here, so we'll just click yes and then confirm. I mean, even then, we'll give this one like a 2-second leeway. I'm surprised it even takes this long to load up. And of course, we get a pop-up here. So I'm not really too sure what is required for these pop-ups not to happen. I mean, I probably went through these pop-ups a billion times on these phones and they still pop up, which is so annoying. So surprisingly, the iPhone 7 got into it faster here. I'm not really too sure what that's about. But I think when it comes down to it, take it as you will. I think both these phones are fast, but I would say the iPhone 8 is the overall faster performing phone when it comes down to it. So in terms of that, it kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, I definitely have, said that both these phones' cameras are more similar than not, and I still kind of agree with that. You're getting single camera setups on the backside, but now we have the ability of shooting 4K videos on the back, which has always been great. We are getting 4K at 60 on the iPhone 8 though, which is really nice. We're getting similar type of resolutions on the front, I think, too. So the iPhone 7 Plus was a pretty good camera upgrade. These ones are more similar than not, like I mentioned. So something like the iPhone 7, this pretty much, I'm trying to think like what it kind of goes down to. It is very similar to, kind of an iPhone 8. So for one, you're still getting, similar resolutions you can film in. You're getting, good quality camera for the most part for how old this phone is, but it's not that good of a camera anymore. And I hope we all kind of know that by now. This is not the first phone I would recommend people to buy. It is a fairly outdated camera. You are not getting an ultra wide camera. You're not getting a telephoto lens. You're getting photo mode, video mode, square mode, panorama mode. You're lacking portrait mode on this phone and on the iPhone 8 as well. So just from that perspective, I mean, this one really isn't, it's kind of outdated when it comes down to the feature set behind it. With the iPhone 8, pretty much the same exact ballpark as well. I mean, you're getting, the same type of, zooming in and zooming out. So there's not too much going on there. Maybe the resolution, maybe the photo quality and video quality looks better, but it's not even really what you'd think. It's not that much better than you would think. You're getting time lapse and slow mode and video, square and panorama mode, like very, very normal stuff here. Like it's not anything insane. And that's just kind of what happens here. So in my opinion, with something like the iPhone 8, it's a kind of an average camera, but the iPhone 7 maybe is a little bit worse. Like that's kind of how I would kind of put it. It's not anything crazy. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there as well. And to be honest, between both these phones, I don't really think there's a phone I would like 100% recommend buying over the other one. The iPhone 8 I would clearly recommend buying because it is like a better phone. It's a newer one. But I probably wouldn't recommend buying either one of these. If you have the ability, get the iPhone XR. That would probably be the cheapest iPhone I'd recommend buying right now. The iPhone 11 would be way better. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense to kind of purchase these phones in my opinion. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.